Hello everyone, welcome to Friday Live. My name's Ashley Hay. I'm an artist and also the importer of Powertex for Australia, and I am looking to give you some arty inspiration for the weekend. So welcome. If you're here and watching us live, drop a comment in. We love to know who's here, and of course along the way be sure to ask any questions you have and I will answer them for you. So today I am looking at sharing with you how to transfer images using Photo Transfer Medium, the Powerprint from Powertex Art Supplies, to transfer images, your photographs, artworks to metal. So we're having a look at transferring to metal today. I'm going to give you some hot tips and tricks, and I'm going to go through all things that I've discovered over the years that work really, really well to have good success with the medium and also with the material. So just before we begin, glass is very similar to metal because both are slippery and both have, they're not very absorbent surfaces. So they're not going to really absorb the medium very well. You could key the metal a little bit with a little bit of wet and dry sandpaper or the glass. I don't tend to do that. I do if I'm doing glass because it just gives a little bit of a key. But for glass, it's the same as metal pretty much. I do find it harder to get a really good transfer onto glass. Metal is a great way to start with your photo transfers because it doesn't absorb the Powerprint, and so it makes it really, really easy to learn the process without having to be Speedy Gonzales before the Powerprint dries. So plus it's also a lot of fun. So Anne's saying, woohoo, Ashley. So I know she's excited. She's dropped a couple of comments during the week saying, oh my goodness, I am so watching this one. So thanks for watching, guys. Nicole is here from Three Hearts Art Studio as well in Mandras. Welcome. And Anne, of course, is in Canada. So awesome that you are here. So we are going to take a look down to the art table, and I'm going to pop you onto there so you can see some of the exciting things we're going to be doing. So this one is actually, it is finished. You can see that where the image was white, the metal actually shines through. There is a little bit of excess paper on here, and there are a few small holes. So with the metal, it is very difficult to get the image exactly right, perfect. But remember that this is an art process. And so it's all about, creating artworks and doing exciting things with imagery, experimenting and pushing the boundaries and the limits of what you can do. So I'm excited. I hope you are too. I can't wait to share this wonderful process with you. It's something I've been using for years. I love metal transfers, and so you'll have to get some aluminium and have a play. Now, I'll talk about that first. So basically the aluminium that I'm using is throwaway aluminium from the printers. So you can go to your local print shop where they print signage, and you can ask them if they have any offcuts or scrap aluminium that they have tossed out, and they'll probably say, yeah, go and have a look in our scraps over there, and then you can actually use these. The great thing with this aluminium is that it's super easy to cut, so you can actually cut it with scissors, and you can also use your guillotine, your paper guillotine, to actually cut your straight edges, and it will sharpen your blades. So how curious is that? So it actually doesn't damage your scissors or your blades. I haven't experienced that anyway. And I have actually found that, if anything, it actually sharpens them. So there you go. And I've done it quite often, so I haven't had little nibbles taken out of it. Probably depends. If you were doing really thick aluminium, then obviously you couldn't use those processes. You'd have to use more metal processes. But this is perfect. The other thing that you could use, of course, are soda cans. So you could cut them up and actually I used to staple them onto a board so they didn't curl and annoy me while I was actually doing the transfer. So that's a bit of fun as well. So thank you for watching, and if you do have any questions along the way, it will remind me to make sure I've covered everything for you. If you're excited, let me know. Join me in my excitement and woohoo along the way. And even if you're watching in replay, it's really lovely for me to know that you have watched and you have enjoyed the episode. So this month in June, I am going to be covering everything metal. It probably won't be everything metal, but we'll be talking about how you can incorporate your artwork, metal into your artwork with Powertex over the next few weeks. So I'm excited about that. Okay, so the first thing that you need is you need an image that you want to transfer. So you can get stock images through some of the stock image sites if you and access any of those. But of course, the best thing to use is your own images. It personalizes your artwork. It brings in your story to what you're doing, and then that way you've got no copyright issues whatsoever. So you do need to make sure that you're using copyright-free images, and away you go. So how the image looks when you actually print it out is how it is actually going to look when you transfer it. So if it's not a very good image, if it's not very clear, it's not very colourful, it's a little bit out of focus, it's not going to magically transfer into a better photograph. So start with a really good high resolution photograph and work with those. The other thing that you can see is you can see that it is not photograph paper. So I'm not transferring photographs. What I am transferring is a laser print of the photograph. So you can go to any print shop and ask them for a colour photocopy and of your photographs, put them on a USB stick and take that in, or send it through to your print shop via email and just go and pick them up. So it's super easy to do. I've found over the years that that's even better than buying a laser printer myself. I did go down that route, but I find that the prints that I get from the print shop are actually better quality than my home laser printer. So just ask for a colour photocopy, and that's actually a laser print. All right, so we've covered the images, we've covered the materials we're working with, and of course we are using Powerprint Photo Transfer Medium. This is what we're using, and we need our piece of metal, so we're going to take that. I'll zoom onto the art table so you can primarily see what I'm doing here. And just before I begin, I'll show you a few other ones that I've got that I have actually done. So there's this one and this one. Now, this is a good one to look at because it shows you how some of the imagery is actually damaged. And so if I was using this one, I would probably only use the side that has actually worked really, really well. and I wouldn't probably use this side. So this is the sort of thing that can happen. So when you use too much photo transfer medium, it can sometimes act like a glue, which makes it really hard to get the paper backing off. So just be careful of that. I'll be talking about that along the way. Hey, Kat, thanks for joining us live. Kat as well is from Canada. So these Canadians getting up early or staying up late, it's a wonderful thing. So I think it's late there, isn't it? Let me know what time it is there for you guys. So again, you can see a couple of imperfections on here, but like I say, it is an art process, and then it's all about what you do with the process and with the imagery. So what I get excited about is the idea of transferring some of my artwork onto, so some of my plein air paintings onto surfaces, and then incorporating those images into a new artwork. So sort of an artwork within an artwork. So we'll be talking about that this month as well. So one of the things that I really love is I really love the fact that you can see the metal shimmering through the actual image. So where let me try again. Where the image was white or really, really light, you actually get the metal shimmering through those pieces. So it is really gorgeous because, of course, where the image is white, there's simply no, there's not really any ink to transfer. So it really allows the shimmer of the metal. If you were transferring onto wood, it would also allow the wood grain to actually come through as well. And Nicole's just saying, from Three Hearts, is just saying perfectly imperfect creates fun, creative growth challenges. Absolutely. I'm a big one. I always say work perfectly imperfectly. If we waited till we did everything perfectly, we wouldn't get anything done. But in this instance, it is an art process, and you'll get some surprising, beautiful things happen that you couldn't have planned, and that's when it gets really, really exciting, and I love the process. So we have some metal here, and we have an image to transfer, and I'll just bring the camera down a little bit so that you can see in there, and I might actually zoom in that way. So there we go. So that will enable you to see a bit better. I'll do it on here. And okay, so in terms of tools that I've got, I actually have a shopping cart, which is really an awesome thing to use to burnish your surface as you're working. A brush, and with your brush, you want it not to be too damaged on the end. So you don't want it to be furry, you want it to have a nice flat edge. I've got a cloth, and I've also got a bowl of water with a Chuck's wipe, a kitchen wipe. These are great because they actually have an open weave in them, so they pick up the paper as we're trying to remove the paper gap, the paper backing. Okay, so we need a bit of the Powerprint out. I always make sure I've given it a good shake before I begin, and then I pop it into a little cup or dish or anything that will hold a little bit of medium for me. I do like to dampen my brush off just so that the medium doesn't go under the bezel there of the brush, and then I dry my brush out. That's a good tip, even if you're working with Powertex. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the medium onto the surface that is least absorbent, which in this case is actually the metal. The paper is going to dry very, very quickly, and so we want to work quite quickly on the paper. But the reason this is such a good process to start your photo transfers with is because it doesn't absorb quickly into the metal, so you don't have to rush to get it done. So yeah, so we can actually take our time to get a nice smooth, even surface on the metal, and that gives you really good practice for when you've got two surfaces that are super absorbent. So like if you were doing it onto canvas or onto fabric, they are both very, very absorbent surfaces. So we take our medium and we want to get a nice smooth layer. And remember what I said about having too much medium. If you have too much, oh, I've got a hair on there, lucky, good spot. Don't want to have a hair in my transfer reeling. And then I'm going to get it nice and even, but I do want it to obviously have some medium on there, otherwise it's not going to work. So how it works is the solution releases the ink into the solution and then it's heat set onto the new surface. So I'm actually putting more of the medium onto, it slipped there, which is not a good thing because we want to avoid getting the medium onto the back of the paper. Then I'm going to squish it down there. I think I didn't say everything I was sort of saying. Now, I should have actually wrung my cloth out first, but never mind. We are doing it on metal, so it's not too bad. I've got a dry cloth as well that I can just dry that off because I don't want to inadvertently take any of that paper backing off too much yet. And I want to burnish the surface of this. Now see how the medium is actually coming onto the card? I'm going to wipe that off in between so that it's not going on the paper backing. If I get a lot of the medium on the paper backing here, what's going to happen is it essentially acts like a glue and sticks that paper down at the back there. So we don't want that. So we want to avoid getting that medium onto that paper backing as much as possible. So that is a really well burnished. It is stuck down really thoroughly. So you can see that, you know, all my edges are adhered. There's no air bubbles in it. And I'm just going to get my hand and I'm going to really use the heel of my hand just to push it down. Now, this is where, you know, because it is on metal and you're doing your transfer on metal, if you've got a lot of medium, you'll have a lot of excess coming out. You will also find that your image kind of slips, so you don't want to do that. So you want to get it burnished down as quickly as possible so that medium doesn't dry. Because if you think about it, if it's a solution that is releasing the ink and then it's heat set onto the new surface, and to heat set it, you can simply get, what I do is get a cardboard box, cut a hole in the top and stick my hairdryer in there, creating a nice little warm space for it. I leave my metal, I don't leave it as long as I leave my fabric and canvas, because the metal actually heats up and it would keep heating until it's cooled. So I usually do it for about 5 minutes with metal, and that seems to be long enough. And it's a really a good trick to use the cardboard box. You just have to make sure, obviously, don't walk away and leave the hairdryer in the cardboard box. So, you know, use your common sense and make sure that it's got enough space, it doesn't get too hot, all of those sorts of things that are just common sense. So I'm just taking those edges off. So I would then heat set that, and you can see that the image is actually coming through. So that's actually a good thing. That shows me that I've got enough medium on there. I think I did get a little bit of the transfer medium onto the back of the paper, but you can just work it off. So I've got one that I've already heat set, so you don't have to listen to the whir of my hairdryer. So I'll just grab it here. So here we go. So now we actually do need our water and our Chuck's White. And what we're going to do is basically, you don't want the Chuck's White to be too wet, so I've actually wrung it out pretty well, and then I actually work that across the image. Now, like I say, that's actually pretty wet. I should have showed you that actually. So there we go. Let me just do a bit more and you'll be able to see. So you can see how the little bits are coming off, and see how the Chuck's Wipe is actually picking up the paper. So it actually helps you with what you're doing. So you can see how that image is now coming through. There's a lot of excess here, so I can use a dry brush to just, a dry brush or a dry cloth to just flick those bits off. And because we're at the beginning of the process, we want to remove that first paper backing layer, which tends to be a little bit more shiny and seals the paper. So usually what I do is I usually do what I've just done with the chunks, and then I will roll my 3 fingers like that, sort of directionally, to get a lot of that excess paper off. Okay, so you can see how that's starting to come up already. So here you can see how there are actually bits here. That's actually that first layer of paper. So we still need to get those off. Now, I've been teaching photo transfers for a little while, so I know a lot of the things that can go wrong. I know how to fix them. So I'm basically giving you tips and tricks that I've learned over many years of working with medium. And what I've seen people commonly do is they start to see the image coming through and they go, wow, look at that, because it is like magic. It is super exciting. And so you go, wow, look what's happening. I can see that coming through and it's looking awesome. And instead of working over the whole image, they get so excited that they bring up one bit here and they forget to do the rest. And so, of course, what happens is because they have to finish it off, sometimes they lose some of that initial bit that they did because they took it down too far and didn't work evenly over the whole surface. So if you can, avoid that little pitfall. And like I say, the metal is super to start with your photo transfers. It gives you something fun to play with in your artwork, and it also, doesn't absorb the medium so quickly that you have to work super fast. And it gives you the process so that you know how the process sort of works. And this is looking good. So you can see that Chuck's is really working for me. I've used many different cloths. I've tried many different things, and I find these open weave ones are the best. So they actually collect the paper because they are open weave. All right, so there are a few little bits of sticky bits on here, and that is quite a common thing that you'll find, especially with the metal, because I'm just going to get rid of some of this out of my way because I don't like these little bits. So the reason I don't like the little bits is because they, you know, you're rubbing them back into the image and it just takes you longer to do if you don't get rid of those bits of excess. So with this, I'll just hold it up to the camera so you can see. So you can see how it has bits of the paper there, and so that needs to be worked off. So to work it off, I'm going to work directionally. So I'm going to sort of get in to the edge and work it off like that. So see how if I do that, I'm holding it up, so it's, oh, hang on. Let's make sure I'm actually under the camera. So I'm working it directionally there. So I'm sort of rolling that paper off. If it doesn't come away when I roll it in one direction like that, what I'll do is I'll then keep turning it around and working it from different sides until I can actually remove that. So it is a process where you don't want it wet, the image as you're taking it off. You want it damp and you don't want it too dry. So this has got to the point where it is a little bit dry, and you can see that it's sort of dried off. So I'm just going to get my chucks again, and I like to get the paper out of the chucks and use nice clean bits of the chucks so that it will actually, like I say, help me. Now the other thing that I can do, which is what I'm doing now, is instead of working over the whole image, I can go to where those sticky bits are and I can actually work on those bits while I've got the cloth. So what that means is that, you know, my nail's not going to scratch into the metal. The cloth is just going to be a bit softer and I can actually really get in there and use the cloth to help me work off those little bits of paper. Now, a question I commonly get asked is, how do I know when I'm finished? So how far is far enough? And, you know, when do I stop? And so there's a couple of things that you can do. So one is obviously if you can see bits of the paper before it has even dried off, then you know that that is not done. I'm going to get my hands now and work over this, and I can feel that the metal is still rough. So that means that it feels a bit like sandpaper. So that means that there is still paper on there, and you can see how there is actually little bits falling on the print. So you can see it's coming up really nicely now. I haven't got any tears of any substance in the image. Where I had those sticky bits before, I have got some little bit of glimmery bits of metal coming through, but it's actually quite nice. So I can see that there's still a little bit of paper on here, and so that's something to look to. The other thing that you can do is when you get to this stage where you've sort of more or less done your transfer, you can allow it to dry and you'll see where there's still paper once that actually dries off. So I can see that there's some in here. So at this point, I will get maybe just a single finger and actually just really work those areas where I can see that there is quite a bit of paper. Can feel that's quite nice and smooth there. You'll generally find as well your edges are where you tend to miss. So actually going around your edges, that's nice and smooth along that one. And I can feel that it's mostly smooth in there. So it seems to be here, which is where it is a little bit rough. So once I feel like it's feeling smoother and I can't really feel as many rough patches, then I can stop, let it dry and see how it comes up. So I'm just finishing it off now. I can feel that along this edge there's some paper. There's definitely still a little bit happening in here. So it may have been that, you know, what I said about the, if you use too much of the photo transfer medium and it goes a little bit streaky maybe on the image, it might be a little bit gluey on the actual transfer. So it's a little bit like riding a bike. The more you do it, you get used to the process, and eventually it just becomes really second nature. You can feel when you're done. So I would probably personally work that a little bit more, but this is good enough to show you. And so you can see that that is looking really gorgeous. The shimmer of the metal is coming through the water and it's coming through some of the rocks, which is actually really fabulous. Anne's just saying, would a grayscale laser copy work? Absolutely. So you could do black and white, and if you had some coloured fabric or a coloured surface, where the white of the image is, you actually would get that coloured surface coming through. However, having said that, it is not like a screen print where you can actually print onto a dark surface. You need to be printing onto a light surface. So if you're printing onto a pre-painted surface on wood, or you're printing onto wood grain, then you want it to be a light wood grain or light colours that you've painted. If you've got a beautiful scarf that you want to use for some photo transfers and it's got like beautiful soft marbled colours on it, you could definitely do like a black and white transfer on that, and it would create like a ghost image. So I can show you how that would look a little bit next week. I've got one where I had pre-painted the board and then I did a black and white image on it. So you can actually create layers as well with your photo transfers. You can have a lot of fun. You don't have to obviously transfer the whole image. You could tear it up. You could do it in a more abstract way. You could do it in strips, all sorts of possibilities. So we're going to be talking about some of those possibilities over the next few weeks in terms of how you can apply them to your artwork. And of course, I've just had a 3-day workshop with some lovely arty creatives who are all actually part of the Certified Powertex Trainers course. So they are upcoming trainers and will be bringing superb new workshops to you guys. And of course, the ones that came to my studio were local, and we were doing Australian landscapes and interpretations of them. So they have actually incorporated some metal transfers into their work. So I'll be showcasing those over the next few weeks as well. So next week on Friday Live, I will be showing you some ideas for how you could manipulate your metal to take it into your artwork. So we'll be talking tin tacks and eyelets and rivets and all sorts of possibilities. So be sure to be here again next week, same bat time, same place, and I look forward to showing you more possibilities with Powertex Art Supplies, because seriously, the possibilities are just absolutely endless with this medium. So I hope I've inspired you to try out some metal transfers this weekend. Don't let the fact that you haven't got the print shop aluminium stop you. Just get a soda can, cut it up with scissors and staple it down to a board and have some fun, and you will have a glorious time. And of course, the other fantastic thing about using a soda can is they are so soft, and then of course you can manipulate the metal like we're going to talk about over the next few weeks. So I look forward to seeing what you guys do. And so if you haven't already, please join us in the Powertex Australia Creative Hub on Facebook. It's a place where if you want to show me something, you can drop what you've done, that, you know, something that has been inspired by Friday Live into the group, and just show me. I'd love to see. So I love seeing people thinking outside of the square with possibilities, and I'll be sharing some of the things that I've done. So look forward to seeing you again next week. Anne's just saying, thanks, Ashley. Love your Friday Live. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. Please, if you miss the live session and you have questions and you're watching in replay, please ask any questions that you have, and I will go back in and actually help you out. So thank you for watching. Without you here, I wouldn't be doing this. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the Powertex Australia Creative Hub. And of course, if you do need some art supplies within Australia, you can get them from your local trainers or suppliers, or on the website at powertex.com.au. So I will see you all next week, and look forward to seeing what you create in this next coming week. Ciao, everyone.